101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 7128-328-001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also check us out on Love 101 FM Facebook Live and YouTube Live. In the main watch today, the church and society's role in violence reduction efforts. In the second watch, the best of Jamaican Christian entities, Pursued International Foundation and Benevolence Bargain Center. In our social media question, we ask, what more can the church do to help those who are no longer incarcerated? Share your responses on our Facebook or YouTube Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes too. 876-997-3125. Using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments later on the program, but first, as I quote.
All right, good morning. Today's I quote says, desperation can lead you to despise. And this one is from Riken Allen.
Professor Dyer.
Yes.
I wait on your lecture, sir, to break down the meaning of these deep-sounding words.
Desperation can lead you to despise. Wow.
Professor.
Potent words there by Riken Allen, not me. So we'll ask him to
It sounds
explain.
almost philosophical. Sir.
Almost.
The main watch will be back after this break.
On the next episode of The Mailbox, we'll be focusing on the Men's Fellowship Tour. This is our second stop in a series of male fellowship link-ups. What are the activities taking place among men in the church? Are there solutions to attract and retain more males in the church community? You are invited to join us as we spend time with Reverend Michael Taylor of Wafiff Kingston and Pastor Tennyson Dixon of Wafiff Canada on Wednesday, February 28th at 5:30 p.m. on the family station, Love 101, The Mailbox, Monday.
It's Reggae Month, and the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association, JARIA, presents Reggae Praise, endorsed by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport, Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. And what a glory that will be. Come hear the sounds of Levis Heritage, Sister Pat, Humble, John Mark Wigan, Berlando Small, Odia Spencer Brown, Nadine Blair, and Perpetual Sounds of Praise. Your MC? Yours truly, Nadine Blair. Reggae Wednesday's Reggae Praise is on Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. at the Festival Marketplace at Kingston Waterfront. The Festival Marketplace is situated near the Kingston Craft Market on Ocean Boulevard, right near the Myers Wharf. Easy to find, and admission is free. So make your plans to come out in your numbers for a night of worship in the key of reggae. What a night, what a glory that will be indeed. Reggae Praise, Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. Festival Marketplace. See you there. A Love 101 endorsed event.
If you know that this music belongs to the Lord, let me see your hands up. If you know reggae music belongs to the Lord.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the main watch as the country seeks to reduce violence in society. The church is being asked to play a role. And in fact, the church has been playing its role for a long time, although many times the church does so outside of the glare of the media, does so quietly. More specifically, how do we tackle it in terms of persons who were once incarcerated? As we heard yesterday from Magava's Jason Downer, Mr. Downer indicated that there are times when former inmates who did not receive the requisite therapeutic intervention could find themselves appearing likely to re-offend. What is the church's role in this process of trying to help that kind of processing to ensure that persons do not re-offend? We have online this morning to help us consider how the church can be a further assistance, Dr. Joanna Simpson. She's a criminal justice researcher and she's a host producer of the Safer Tomorrow podcast. Dr. Simpson, good day. Are you with us, Dr. Simpson?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Simpson. How are you? I hope you are well. Let us see if we are hearing Dr. Simpson. Dr. Simpson, if you are muted, could you kindly unmute yourself? Because I'm not certain if we're hearing you at the moment. We heard you earlier indicating that you were on air with us, but for some reason we are not hearing you at the moment. Dr. Joanna Simpson, she's a criminal justice researcher, host, producer of the Safer Tomorrow podcast. Dr. Simpson is very passionate in terms of her views on the role of the church and what the church can do to help those who were once incarcerated. I think Dr. Simpson is now on the phone. Dr. Simpson?
Hello.
Good morning, Dr. Simpson. Good having you on. Now, I must say, Dr. Simpson, because you're on the phone and we're on a particular platform, there can be a delay. So I'm going to ask that we try our best to wait on our responses before we continue the discussion. Quickly, Dr. Simpson, could you tell us about your research, specifically the main focus of your research?
Okay, sure, no problem. My research looked at understanding how to support formerly incarcerated males transition from to a lifestyle of non-offending and how they begin to enjoy or participate in a fulfilling and responsible life as a law-abiding citizen. So I looked at how we could support desistance from crime, and desistance from crime is that transition from a lifestyle of offending to a lifestyle of non-offending. And then during incarceration as well as post-incarceration, while trying to take account of the experiences that they would have had before they were incarcerated. I really focused on the strengths of the criminal justice system in Jamaica, looking at how what we have facilitates and contributes to this process of leaving a life of crime and rejoining society, which would be reintegration. So I looked at what was working, who was helping, how are changes being made, how are the changes being manifested, so yeah.
What kind of support therapy, what kind of support period is actually done for persons who are incarcerated? And I do apologize, Dr. Simpson, and to the listeners for that sort of feedback we're having at the moment, but we're trying to do our best with the technology here. You're on the phone, I'm on a platform, StreamYard. But did you hear the question, Dr. Simpson?
Yes, I did. So I want to go a little broader from than support therapy, if I may. So what the Correctional Facility Department of Correctional Services has is they have quite a number of programs, and that's also what I really observed in my research as well. So they have educational programs where persons are able to join maybe a remedial education program, maybe able to do their CXCs, do even some tertiary courses, and quite a few of the men, and the men are really who I focused on in my research, are able to go through these programs.
Are able to go through these programs, Dr. Simpson, and I think I lost you. Dr. Simpson?
Yes. Hello? Are you hearing
Yes,
me?
you said that you have been able to go through these programs, and I think I sort of lost you at that point.
Right. So they're able to go through these programs, and many of the incarcerated persons do very well.
Okay.
Right. And so they also have sports, arts, life skills training programs. Some are delivered directly by correctional officers who may have been trained in these particular areas, and others are delivered by non-governmental organizations who would have been partnering with the Department of Correctional Services to provide these services to the incarcerated persons. And so they also have therapy, they can have psychiatrists on board, and psychologists who would also help specifically with the mental health of the incarcerated persons. Yes.
And to what extent, if at all, is the church involved? Because you seem to be indicating that the church needs to play a particular role. Dr. Simpson.
Yes. So the church has been involved historically and currently in reducing violence reduction in the community. So that is before persons are incarcerated. We've had organizations, churches and faith-based organizations like Joytown Community Development Foundation, Operation Save Jamaica, Pastor Muir heading the Grand Spend Community, Upper Room Community Church, and we also had cornerstone ministries that used to work in the incarceration facilities, the correctional facilities before. However, what we need more of is not just programs and segments of society contributing to this effort, but we need a holistic, first of all, we really need a holistic civil society approach. But the church is a significant segment of the civil society. And we know that we have the motivation, the experience, and the answers actually to help reduce violence and support the process of living a life of crime for men and women. So there are segments, but what we need more of is we need persons on the ground, members, church members, more pastors who are willing to go into the communities, go into the correctional facilities, because again, we do have churches who are in the correctional facilities, and from my research, some of the men who I would have interviewed would have become Christians.
Dr. Simpson, only because of time, could you hold that thought for a moment? Because I think we're upon a break. Hold that thought, very important. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
On the next episode of The Mailbox, we'll be focusing on the Men's Fellowship Tour. This is our second stop in a series of male fellowship link-ups. What are the activities taking place among men in the church? Are there solutions to attract and retain more males in the church community? You are invited to join us as we spend time with Reverend Michael Taylor of Wafiff Kingston and Pastor Tennyson Dixon of Wafiff Canada on Wednesday, February 28th at 5:30 p.m. on the family station, Love 101, The Mailbox, Monday.
It's Reggae Month, and the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association, JARIA, presents Reggae Praise, endorsed by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport, Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. And what a glory that will be. Come hear the sounds of Levy's Heritage, Sister Pat, Humble, John Mark Wigan, Berlando Small, Odia Spencer Brown, Nadine Blair, and Perpetual Sounds of Praise. Your MC? Yours truly, Nadine Blair. Reggae Wednesday's Reggae Praise is on Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. at the Festival Marketplace at Kingston Waterfront. The Festival Marketplace is situated near the Kingston Craft Market on Ocean Boulevard, right near the Myers Wharf. Easy to find, and admission is free. So make your plans to come out in your numbers for a night of worship in the key of reggae. What a night, what a glory that will be indeed. Reggae Praise, Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. Festival Marketplace. See you there. A Love 101 endorsed event.
You know that this music belongs to the Lord. Let me see your hands up. If you know reggae music belongs to the Lord.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and our topic is the church and society's role in violence reduction efforts. Our guest is Dr. Joanna Simpson. She's a criminal justice researcher and host producer of Safer Tomorrow podcast. Dr. Simpson, before the break, you were indicating to us what more the church can do. You mentioned pastors needing to go into correctional facilities, etc. Continue, Dr. Simpson.
Right, and I want to highlight that it's not just pastors, but it's the congregation, the church members. We have the expertise, we have the experience, and it has to be a collective approach, not just one person. We want the pastors because the pastors are the leaders, the teachers of the church. They will also help to mobilize the church. But it is not just the leaders of the church, but the everyday man that has to be a part of the process. Because as the church, we are not just in a building, we are also represented as kingdom citizens, kingdom of God, in different spheres of society with different levels of responsibility. And so right there in our separate positions, we are able to represent Christ to individuals who may be leaving the correctional facilities, who may be in the communities, who are transitioning from a lifestyle of violence, and also help to support them to leave this lifestyle.
You know, Dr. Simpson, you said a lot of things in a couple of words.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to, if I were, open the lid of that can, because a number of things might emerge if you peel back the cover of that can. The issues of stigma, going into a correctional facility to quote unquote minister to persons who have been incarcerated for murder, rape, all manner of things.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the issues of, do I want to be associated with these people?
Mm-hmm.
You have the issues of when they come out of the prison system, do I want to be their friends? Do I want to sit with them in church? Do I want to minister to them from a distance? But don't get too close to us.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Simpson, would I want this person to marry my daughter?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Simpson. So, and let me wait 1 second, Dr. Simpson. Then you have other areas that persons could minister to persons in, because it's not just persons who are incarcerated. You have the homeless,
Mm-hmm.
people who are on the roads, who are, engaged in certain activities. You have this, what we call sex workers. The Bible calls them prostitutes. But in social sciences, the term sex work has become popular.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just persons who are incarcerated, but you have other persons, if I could say other categories. And there might be that similar issue of stigma. So how do you overcome all of that, Dr. Simpson? because you are saying a lot of things in a few words. Help us, Dr. Simpson.
So first of all, I want to say that the concerns are legitimate, right? Some of the concerns of safety. I don't think you mentioned safety, but just to put it out
I
there,
did
some of,
not, but you have done so.
yes,
No problem with that, Dr. Simpson.
yes, the concerns of safety are legitimate. Jamaica is a small island, and things are easily transferred, transmitted. Person, it's However, as the church, we have been mandated to go. And the Lord has, so I'm speaking specifically to the church. And so when I speak about the church has the motivation, it is because one, God has given us the mandate to go to all peoples because he wishes that no one should perish. No one, right? So that's one. Two, I definitely agree with you. Not everybody is going to focus their life, focus their attention on formerly incarcerated persons or even very specifically on the issue of violence. And that is why I love the point that you brought up, because that is why I believe it is so important that what happens is each member of the church plays their role. We understand what it is that God has called us to do, who he has called us to serve, and to do that. Because as we each play our role, serve the homeless, serve persons who are sex workers, substance abuse, I mean, just the full gamut of social issues that if you were really to dig deep and do some more examination, some of them are connected to fostering and building the culture of violence and the persons that we have involved in violence, which I think is a whole separate topic. And so what's happening is a part of what needs to happen is that the church needs to be activated, intentional. And when I said the church, I'm talking about every member, not a pastor, not certain congregations, not community churches alone, but every church. I think sometimes also we may feel a little powerless. Maybe we don't understand what's happening or what our role is. Why should I be involved? This has nothing to do with me. I didn't participate in any crime, right? But again, that the system that has been created in Jamaica is actually a system that some of us either directly contribute to or because of our silence is upholding, right? And again, going into how persons become violent producers, that's a whole separate conversation, but it does help us to understand that we have a role in creating the situation of violence that we have now, and therefore we also have a role in working towards reducing the violence as a kingdom citizen, as a Christian, but also as a Jamaican citizen. If we are going to see a change in violence in this country, it is not the government alone that is going to have to do the work. The citizens and the church really has to do the work that is necessary. And again, I repeat, it's not necessarily that everyone has to dedicate their life to reducing violence. But as we find out from God and are certain and are intentional about God, who have you called me to serve? What are the things you've called us to do? Some of us are in positions where we can affect policy, where we can affect communities at a higher level. What are we willing to do in order to ensure that the persons who are oppressed, the persons who are impoverished, because again, many of the persons who are violence producers, who are in our correctional facilities, are coming from lower socioeconomic communities, and how those communities are foster their experiences, again, another conversation.
Yes. Dr. Simpson, what role, if any, does evangelism play in the church's intervention? Because one of the challenges that can arise, and in fact, I would even say currently exists, where the church attempts to intervene in situations as the ones you're describing, there is a fine balance between going out there as a church to spread the gospel, whilst there is also the feeling that the church should not focus on spreading the gospel. The church should turn itself into a sort of social work or social service, or just play a social role, but don't get into religion. So, yes, come and minister to us. Come and help us. Give us some care packages, but don't tell us about Jesus. Any
Yeah.
comments, Dr. Simpson?
Certainly. So, one, I will say that when we look at the research on how persons live a life of crime, religion is a key factor. There's quite a lot of research on the role of religion, and my research also spoke of the role of religion in helping people to live a life of crime and reintegrate into society. With that said, I do agree it can be a fine line. How I perceive it is that Jesus met needs first. And so there may be organizations that focus on meeting needs. And also, but the preaching of the gospel is also important. What's happening in this, I mean, I can't speak about the seasons before and the years before, but part of what's happening now is that people are beginning to believe that Christians don't actually care about them as persons. They just want to win a soul. We want one soul to carry go home, right? And so persons want to feel that sense of love and care. And how do we feel that sense of love and care? Not just as persons who are non-Christians and need to know the Lord, but even us, right? When God meets our needs, we feel that sense of care that He loves us. And what does that love do? It tends to draw us to God, to help us to be open to what He's saying, to help us to be open to trust. So in one sense, for me, I see social programs, social faith-based social organizations as those that first step towards helping people to know that as a kingdom citizen, as a church member, as a Christian, I care about your whole man, because that's what God cares about, right? But that transition into experiencing the benefits of eternal life on earth beyond, that comes with knowing Jesus. And so part of what we have to do as a church is work on and I'm saying we because a lot of the things that I'm talking about is not that I've settled in my mind, and there are things that I have to work through as well, right? But we have to really think about what will draw people to the Lord, right? And as we draw people, the point I wanted to make is we have to really think about building relationships, because quite often it is building relationships we are able to have an impact. People are willing to listen to what we have to say, right? Now, I believe in preaching. We must preach because the Bible essentially says if they have not heard, how will they know, right? How will they be saved? So we have to preach, but sometimes we focus more on preaching of the word in a distant sense, and even giving care packages can seem like we are doing.
Okay, there's a care package. Love Jesus, come to Jesus,
exactly
and
go over there.
jump in the car, you drive away, right?
Exactly. And evangelism, preaching, can have the same type of effect. So as we preach, we can preach with our actions and preach with our words. Hey, Jesus really loves you, but I'm here. I'm listening to your issues, right? And so, that's my perspective as it relates.
Well, sometimes issues can be overwhelming, but I do understand your point. And before we wrap, Dr. Sims, well, first of all, I'm not so sure if Jesus focused on the needs first. That's probably a theological discussion. I think he did both.
Okay, fine. And I won't say that categorically all the time, because he was led by the Holy Spirit. So thank you for pointing that out. But there were times when
he was God. But anyway,
yes.
He is God. But before we wrap this morning, Dr. Simpson, what parting words do you have for us? What parting words do you have for someone who is in their kitchen right now, who is in a taxi right now, going about their business, who is already at work, wherever they are? What parting words do you have for us?
All right, thank you. All right, so dealing with violence and violence reduction can feel, as Stokeley said, overwhelming. We can feel powerless. It can cause a lot of fear in us. However, as Christians, we have the answer. God has told us we shouldn't have a spirit of fear, and He empowers us daily. But one of the things I would like to say is when somebody commits a crime, essentially they don't just violate the law, they create a harm to the rest of society, those of us who know what that harm is. And so the first thing that we need to do is we need to be able to forgive the persons who are incarcerated, who are involved in violence, because that is the
Simpson,
first way.
only because of time, but I think you started on you've started something which could make us do another program. Forgive,
Okay,
forgive, forgive. But Dr.
okay.
Simpson, alas, we're completely out of time. I want to thank you, Dr. Simpson, for your time with us this morning. Very interesting. Thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts.
And thank you so much for having me. Have a good day.
Listeners, go nowhere at all. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
With J&B Bank, anything possible. With a little savings in your hand, save so you can.
The time by J&B Bank is
7:31 a.m.
home is where you put down your roots. So at Sagicor Bank, we designed a mortgage with everything you need to own your home easier. Get up to 100% financing, fast processing time, up to $100,000 cash back to assist with expenses, a competitive interest rate, plus an unsecured loan of up to $2 million to go solar at home, and a special rate on home insurance. Let's help you put down your roots. Call 888 Sagicor to apply for your Sagicor Bank mortgage. Conditions apply.
Doing business in Jamaica is now better than ever. Thanks to feedback from you, we're cutting through the red tape and introducing digital, world-class systems to build a better environment to help your business thrive. Whatever you do, wherever you are, we're making doing business faster, simpler, better together.
Visit JamaicaBusinessReforms.com to learn how we are building better business together. Sponsored by JAMPER and the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
It's our business to know how much is being spent in what areas, from education to healthcare.
From roads to security, because our taxes help pay for it.
So, the national budget is our business.
The national budget is my business.
It is my business.
The national budget is my business and yours.
The national budget is everybody's business because it impacts every Jamaican. Visit the Ministry of Finance's website at mof.gov.jm for more information.
Woo! The Gospel International presents Breaking Barriers 2024, where Mapen New Testament, 57 Manchester Avenue, Mapen, Clarendon. Showtime 7 p.m. sharp, featuring Rhoda Isabella, Reverend Gotti Gotti, Orville Sutherland, John Mark Wigan, Prince Sad, Sergio Lindsay, Bradley Sutherland, Fabian Wright, and many, many more. MCs Dexter Johnson from Gospel D's and the flamboyant one, The Essence. You can't afford to miss this. Sponsored by Gibson's Petroleum, RGE Funeral Services, Glory Cars, Clarendon Blends, Morris Fish and Jerk, Garden Cold Cosmetics, CGTV, and the Justice Suit.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the news sources to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here among the latest news online in the Gleaner, JLP projected to win St. Thomas, Clarendon. PNP's Julian Chang promises to transform Savannah Lamar. We have in Loop Jamaica News, JLP breaks tie in Landui, and a bit of the headline has disappeared, but it goes on to read words to the effect of the JLP appearing likely to take St. Thomas. And we have the Observer, the physical copy of the Observer, and it says, voter intimidation linked to family feuds. That is a caption at the top of the front page of the Daily Observer. We also have in the Daily Observer, vote count caution. EOJ moves St. Andrew East rural ballots to Kingston office for final tally. And I move back to Loop Jamaica News because for a moment this screen had sort of wasn't appearing online. The headline actually reads, JLP breaks tie, Landui Inland Dewey, and it appears as if it's referring to who will become the mayor in relation to the capital city of St. Thomas. We do apologize for that, but for some reason, the online version of Loop Jamaica News, we were not seeing it as we were seeing it before. Those and other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read for some of the feedback from our WhatsApp and Facebook question, which is, what more can the church do to help those who are no longer incarcerated? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook or YouTube. Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes too. 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
It's Reggae Month, and the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association, JARIA, presents Reggae Praise, endorsed by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. And what a glory that will be. Come hear the sounds of Levy's Heritage, Sister Pat, Humble, John Mark Wigan, Berlando Small, Odia Spencer Brown, Nadine Blair and Perpetual Sounds of Praise. Your MC? Yours truly, Nadine Blair. Reggae Wednesday's Reggae Praise is on Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. at the Festival Marketplace at Kingston Waterfront. The Festival Marketplace is situated near the Kingston Craft Market on Ocean Boulevard, right near the Myers Wharf. Easy to find, and admission is free. So make your plans to come out in your numbers for a night of worship in the key of reggae. What a night, what a glory that will be indeed. Reggae Praise, Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. Festival Marketplace. See you there. A Love 101 endorsed event.
In life, the more you have to lose.
The more you love, the more you worry. The more you own, the less you sleep.
The more people rely on you, the more you have on your mind.
I have peace of mind,
knowing that whatever I own
and whoever I care about are covered by the very best.
With Sagicor Life and Advantage General, get life, health, and general insurance to help you protect what matters most.
Affirm Ambulance Services, Jamaica's premier provider of emergency medical transportation. We do medical standby for both private and corporate events, non-medical emergency services, emergency transportation to and from medical facilities, hospitals, and homes, wheelchair provision, nursing homes, and first aid, plus so much more. We are located at 17 Cleardale Avenue, Kingston 10, and we can be contacted at telephone numbers 876-281-1262 or 876-299-2053. Follow us on Instagram at affirm_ambulance. Affirm Ambulance Services, a firm choice in health transportation.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bash quality service guaranteed and a Bashco. Bashco. That gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, linen, everything for your kitchen, rocks, mugs, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
It's not over.
Listen to words of upliftment in Something More with Bishop Harold Blair, brought to you by the Faith Cathedral Deliverance Center.
And he cried out to God. Have you been there? Have you been there when it seems as if you've been left all alone and no one cares for you? No one gives to you a word of comfort or consolation. But as you lift up your eyes to the hills from whence cometh your help, the Lord heard your cry.
That's Something More with Bishop Harold Blair. Something More comes to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9:30 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
Hey in Jamaica. Get ready for the ultimate family-friendly event of the year. The best dressed chicken fun in the sun at the National Stadium. Saturday, April 20th, 10 a.m. Come experience a day filled with delicious food, good music, and great fun. Kids activities, job recruitment, health and wellness fair, and a gospel concert like no other with your favorite local and international artists. Saturday, April 20th. Save the date and join us for an unforgettable gospel celebration.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's join Chukal for a look at how our Facebook and WhatsApp friends answer today's question. What more can the church do to help those who are no longer incarcerated? Chukal.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. I have my first response is from Cherry in Spanish Town. Cherry says, as the church, we need to be more involved in a positive and effective way. Be sensitive and supportive to those who are incarcerated. Do not stigmatize. But also there is much to be concerned about and considered, but also do our best to help in the way God would have us to do. We also have this response from Faith. Faith says, good morning, everyone. At times, despite the church's best efforts, some people make up their minds to be bad. And Edna sent a voice message. Let's hear from her.
Good morning, Morning Watch. Good morning, Love 101 listeners and staff. What more can the church do to those that is no longer in lockup? The church has been doing so much. And sometimes the church can do so much and no more, but I know they will continue to do what they can do. And it's left to the person if they want to adhere to what they had learned in the lockup, and what if they decide to change. It's left to them, because you can carry the horse to the water, but you cannot force them to drink it. And I like the churches that have prison ministry. That's a good thing, because our church have prison ministry, which I want to be a part of also. So it's a good look as far as I can see.
And that one was from Edna. Thanks, Edna. Thank you for that one. And that's the end of our responses.
That's it, Jacob.
That's it.
Thank you so much. Very interesting comments there from persons who contributed. Well, we go right into the second watch, and as we come close to the end of the month, we're literally there already. I'll be just about tomorrow over the last day of February. We celebrate the best of Jamaican Christian entities, persons or movements on the Morning Watch, and let's welcome Pursuit International Foundation and Waltham Park New Testament Church of God's Benevolence Bargain Center to this year's short list of the best of Jamaican Christian entities. Our guests are online: Stacey Ann Smith, founder of Pursuit International Foundation, and in person in studio we have Steve Constantine, administrator of Waltham Park New Testament Church of God's Benevolence Bargain Center. Good morning, Steve Constantine. Good morning, Stacey Ann Smith. How are you both?
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Constantine.
It's a pleasure to have me here this morning.
Great having you, sir. Stacey Ann Smith online.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's start with you, Stacey, and tell us about Pursuit International Foundation. What is it, when it started, why and how? The early days.
The early days. I feel like we're still in the early days. We're only 6 years old, but Pursuit International Foundation is a nonprofit charity that is focused on helping exploited women, sexually exploited women, those in the sex industry, and those who've been sex trafficked, live healthy, independent lives. This started in 2000.
Stick up in. You are trying to help those women who were exploited.
Yes.
In sex trafficking.
Yes.
You mean they were slaves, sex slaves?
Yes, they were. That happens around the world, really, but also in Jamaica.
You said it so. You just went over those words as if it's like just another day in the park.
I think that I've been doing it so long, but it's not a day. That's another word.
Yes, it's not something that we hear every day. You know, we know it happens, but
yes.
It sounds very weighty. Sounds very heavy.
It is very weighty. It is. Yes.
We don't want to take it for granted. So slow down a little bit. Tell us about the entity and, what is the genesis of it and why you felt the need to go in this direction in terms of helping women who have gone through this.
Sure. So in 2017, I read an article about sex tourism in Southeast Asia, and I decided to go because I'd heard this sermon by Francis Chan, and in essence, he
You
shared the.
went to Southeast Asia?
Yes, I did.
Oh, tell us a little bit about that. Stacey and Smith, don't rush over this thing, man. Tell us a little bit about that.
So Southeast Asia was very interesting because I worked with an organization there that helped to both rescue women from trafficking and women who worked in brothels and this thing called a fishbowl.
Stacey and Smith, hold on 1 second. I know what you're saying is very interesting, but I am being reminded of the time. I think we're now upon a break. Listeners, please stay with us. This is a very interesting discussion this morning. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
JN Money Card send from abroad. JN Money Card. Send the money. Mo want withdraw in a hurry. JN Money Card free. With your TRN and your ID. And when me no walk with cash, me just swipe like that. From abroad to card. Get the JN Money Card. It's safe, convenient, and free. JN Money Card. Stay safe and collect funds on the JN Money Card.
We all trust the traditional home remedies of our parents, especially when they've been passed down through generations. Benjamin's Honey Time captures the same trusted home remedy tradition in a bottle. Get relief from irritating cold symptoms, cough, and sore throat with the warm, comforting taste of honey, rum, and lime. Benjamin's Honey Time, the formula that works with the soothing taste of tradition. Benjamin's, a trusted name for over a century.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bash quality service guaranteed and Bashco. Bashco. That gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, and linen everything for your kitchen, rugs, cups, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
As a fitness guy, I was surprised by my chronic illness diagnosis. I thought working out harder would fix it, but it wasn't enough. Now, my prescription meds are a part of my routine.
When I got my diagnosis, I really felt down and stopped spending time with the people I love. Then I decided not to let any disease get the best of me. And I'm committed to taking my meds as prescribed. On time, every time.
No hesitation. Take your medication. A message from the NHF. NHF is here for health. NHF is here for you.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and we're looking at the best of Jamaican Christian entities. Pursuit International Foundation, which is one entity, and the other, the Benevolence Bargain Center. Our guests are Stacey and Smith of the foundation and Steve Constantine of the Bargain Center. Stacey and Smith, just before the break, you told us about your organization, Pursuit International Foundation, helps women who have been sex trafficked. You went to Asia?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Be exposed to?
To be exposed, to actually support a group that was there. I wanted to see how I could jump right in. I am that kind of person. I jump right in. And
Clearly, you are that kind of person. You went to Asia?
I did, because I heard this sermon by Francis Chan that said, we don't need to see this flashing light or this, big thing in the sky to go and serve. We're all called to serve. So when I read about the issue of sex tourism in Southeast Asia, I took up my savings, I left my job, and I went to go and support the organization there.
So only because of limited time, take us quickly to Jamaica. What did you learn quickly in a sentence from Southeast Asia? Mm-hmm. And how did you transfer that knowledge here?
So I realized that a big part of being able to touch the lives of women who are in this industry is to go to them and to be a loving source of support. And so when I came to Jamaica,
to take the church to them.
Right. So our tagline is we go where they are. If you see the name Pursued, we're going after.
Pursued.
Yes. Yes. So when I came home, I began doing awareness initiatives, but I also prayed about how to help women who are most vulnerable to sex trafficking, which were the women in the sex industry. And so
through some prayer. Jamaica, Stacey and Smith? I know I'm jumping to Jamaica quickly, but because of limited time. What about Jamaica?
So I'm saying I'm in Jamaica now and I'm praying about how to help the women here. So we did the awareness and then we prayed about where to go, and God literally led us to a location that is a trafficking hotspot before we knew. And so now we do street outreach to
Stacey
commercial
and Smith,
sex
am I
workers.
allowed to ask you where in Jamaica this trafficking hotspot is so people can know that they need to pray about this place?
Yes, it's in the Crossroads area, the one in Kingston. There's 4 of them, but the one we work at is in the Crossroads area.
Really?
Yes.
In the heart of Crossroads?
Heart of Crossroads. When I said God led us there, because I had no idea. I just drove around praying with a friend. And it was later when I got some research from the Office of the National Rapporteur of Trafficking in Persons, I realized that God led us supernaturally to a place that actually is known by the office as a trafficking hotspot. God is
Stacey and
amazing.
Smith, this is earth-shattering. And
God is
of course,
amazing.
because of limited time, well, let me ask you quickly, is it only women or are men involved as well?
Men are involved in trafficking, but in our particular ministry, we're focused on women, and the persons we meet have been all women in the area that we are.
But you have come across men being involved in sex trafficking in Jamaica?
No, I have not come across them, but I know by the research, because I follow the rapporteur's office, that they are.
I see. And hold that thought 1 second, Stacey and Smith. We're going to come back to you in a moment. Steve Constantine, the Benevolence Bargain Center, it's associated with the Waltham Park New Testament Church of God. Is it an outreach of the church, or is it?
The Benevolence Bargain Center was birthed out of a need that we have from an outreach program that we have at the church, because we provide out of our budget every month to assist the community.
Out of the church's budget?
Out of the church's budget every month to assist the community, because from time to time persons will come in, they're in need like medication to fill, assist paying rent, assist with their needs, sending children to school and all of that.
And you're the administrator?
I'm the administrator at the church, but the Benevolence Bargain Center have leaders. It was conceptualized by Mrs. Lloyd Gale. She is the head of that department. And so what it does, the bargain center, we would like get things from abroad. Person will donate things, clothing, any household item. And we brought it in every month, end of the month, Fridays and Saturdays.
So you're busy. You're busy like at back to school time.
Back to school time, we're busy. Christmas time, we're busy. So, persons will come from the community and assist us in terms of purchasing, because at a minimal cost.
And let us not assume anything. Tell us about the Waltham Park. Well, the Waltham Park New Testament Church of God is in the Waltham Park community of St. Andrew?
Yes, Waltham.
Tell us about the community, and why is it that this kind of bargain center is so vital in a community like that?
In a community like Waltham Park Gardens, we have several attached communities, which people might deem volatile and probably, low income community. So we saw that because of person was coming to us on a daily basis for assistance. And we don't just cater for the members of the church. We are a community church. So therefore, as our tagline said, we are a church that is one big family. So we cater for the community. So we have that. And the bargain center is a great help to assist the church in doing that, because when the center get things from abroad and members who donate stuff, it's sold at a minimum cost so that we can put it into the benevolence program that we.
Do you find, let me be careful where I frame the question, because this is not to let, do you think persons prefer to purchase the item at a minimal cost, or you think they rather just get a care package from the church? How do they feel when they come and they buy the item versus just getting a care package?
A very good question, because the feedback that we got is that people feel a sense of pride when they purchase things. So, it's not a handout.
Yes, it's not a handout.
Right.
You worked, came, or even if somebody gave you the money,
Yes.
but you came and you paid something and you got something in exchange.
Yeah.
It's not like you were waiting in a line for someone to come and hand you something.
Right.
Very interesting.
And we do that as a church in our evangelism program. We're not just, when persons come to us,
yes,
we don't just give them something. So we find out, we try to find out their needs and what we can do to assist them. Some person, from my personal experience, persons come, they want to do a little thing to send their kids to school. We assist them in starting up a little business. And a matter of fact, the bargain center too, persons come, purchase stuff
and
at a minimal cost and resell it. And that is a big thing. Persons come, purchase stuff, and they go downtown and sell back the stuff and get a little profit from it.
Yes.
So, it's a wide thing. We don't just give and sell. We assist persons.
It can play the role of a sort of wholesale, or
right.
That's what it sort of does for some people.
Some people, yeah.
Understood. Stacey Ann Smith, going back to you, founder of Pursued International Foundation. At the moment, what kind of, as we wrap this morning, because there's never enough time in the morning watch, as we wrap, what are the resources at present, in just a couple of words from you, of your organization? You're the founder. I don't know if you have anyone who assists you. And where do you see Pursued International Foundation going forward? Because there's a lot of work that obviously needs to be done.
First, I want to say to your guests, that's an amazing initiative. I love that, what you guys are doing over there.
Yes,
sorry.
in the Benevolence Bargain Center.
Yes, I love it. But also Pursued right now, we do street outreach, like I said before, but resource-wise, we are working on a skill development and economic empowerment program with several banks and foundations, because we realize that in order to really help these women not be handout people, we have to teach them how to make a living outside of, so an alternate living source. So right now we are creating a program and getting the funding to be able to launch as soon as possible a skills training and economic development program for our women, so that they can have another option besides having to sell themselves.
And Stacey Ann Smith, just to sort of get some clarity, is it that you are liaising with women who are actually being trafficked? Are you saving women who are being trafficked from to get them out of trafficking, or are you just talking to? I shouldn't say just, but is your focus at the moment with women who are not being trafficked but they're engaged in prostitution?
So the women that we worked with who are presently in the sex trade industry, some of them were trafficked when they were younger. So anybody who has been trafficked or who is at risk of being trafficked, we come in as a resource to support them so they can have an alternate source of living.
Very interesting. Hold that thought, Stacey Ann Smith. And Steve Constantine, going forward, where do you see the Benevolence Bargain Center going?
I see the big Benevolence Bargain Center at our church going wider than just the Walter Park community. A matter of fact, it has started because another church, a New Testament church in the I think it's in Trelawney, has started a Benevolence Bargain Center out of what we have at Walter
borrowing
Park.
from the concept.
So it is. I see it going wider to help the wider Jamaican, that persons not only can just.
Only because of time, Mr. Constantine, I have to ask both of you to hold those thoughts. Stacey Ann Smith wants to come back to you, but alas, we're completely out of time. I want to thank Stacey Ann Smith and Steve Constantine for being with us on this morning's Morning Watch. So very interesting. So much that you both more could say, but alas, we're completely out of time. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow to look at all topical and controversial issues. And of course, visit the Love FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all of the Love 101 FM programs. And of course, download our app and stay connected to us. We are the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, hanging back Love in the Morning with Chicago.
Thank you so much for listening to the Morning Watch today. Very interesting and riveting conversations there. The time is now 8 a.m. and you are now invited to listen to Forward in Faith brought to you by the New Testament Church